If you notice there is a lot of stuff in my backseat, it is because I have had multiple shoots over the last couple of weeks. And yesterday I got to experience another pitch competition where a room of mostly black women pitched about their businesses and wanted to talk about why it impacted me so much and basically what I think the landscape for black women businesses and black women as a whole, their landscape going forward, especially in 2025. So I am a business owner. I am coming up on 14 years in my industry of communications, branding, marketing, basically helping black people specifically with telling their stories and identifying why they are afraid to tell them in this new media landscape. So, but the larger framing of why I do what I do is when I started this work, there weren't many people that looked like me that were in the same vein as me and maybe were not college educated or were failing upward or were in that trying stage that people don't often give you a lot of grace and leeway in. So the joy element, Bright Side Rain, my own personal brand all came from this longing to belong while also understanding that every table is not for you. Every table should not be your peak, should be the thing that you aspire to. You have to build your own tables. You have to come into places ready to not be understood, ready to be okay with people going, I want to get it, but I don't. Can you help me understand? And be prepared to answer that question and fulfill that need for them. I played the background a lot in my career, both entrepreneurially as well as entrepreneurially. I played the background. I was the shoe duper. I was the person that you called when you were trying to make sense of a thing and you needed help. And so I tried to make sure that people, and I still do, the sun, but the sun looks great. I try to be the person that people feel the most comfortable with. And I've learned that my focus and what I'm able to do is help people understand their pain points, like why am I afraid? Why am I concerned about this thing? Why am I having a hard time explaining myself the why? And it's scary to have the why acknowledged because then you're vulnerable. But you can't move forward without having the why exposed, essentially. Really having to dig underneath the why to find your way out. And I've discovered that I have a penchant for helping people with that because that is something I've done personally my whole life. Trying to figure out the why behind this, the why behind that. And I do believe on a broader scale of black women, especially in this country. I am in the U.S., unfortunately. Especially in this country in a post-election year where black women, 92%, were sharing what we knew because we understood the why. Majority of us understand the why. And it goes so much farther than what a lot of the media outlets are trying to apply to us. It's way deeper than us trying to be good old Americans. It's so much farther than what we have right now in this generation. We think past what we see right now. We think towards the future. We think towards our kids. And being a business owner in that same vein, we often think about that as well. And we're in a society, and we're in an age where everything is microwavable, everything is super fast, everything looks the same, everyone looks the same, everyone kind of acts the same. There's a TikTok voice, there's a YouTube voice, there is an Instagram look. Like, that's how things look. And those of us that try to do something different are often viewed as, you doing too much. You are, girl, it's not that hard. Girl, it's not that serious. It's not. Yeah, it is. It absolutely is that serious. Because, because, full stop. It is that serious. So, what I work to do is to be a bridge. I help people, but primarily Black people, of every identity, I like to say Black women of every gender, Black women of every wavelength, of every identity. It's, my love language is Black women. Black women are dope. We're the blueprint. A lot of people try to tell us to our faces that we're not, and that's how we know we are. So my goal is to help Black women of every identity really hone in on their story. I am a storyteller. I have been a writer since I was 7. I turned 37 this year, so I have been a writer for 30 years. And having that power over your story, having that full leash, that full lead of your story, and not allowing someone else's interpretation of that story to get louder and bigger than the original, is a very intricate dance within itself, but it's necessary to make your pathway clear, to make people understand that what you're doing and what you're bringing to the table is important, even if they don't get it initially. Being an enigma without having like a backstory behind it, you just being an enigma for the sake of being an enigma, gets old. And we see that a lot on TikTok. We see the mysterious girlies that are just doing stuff and you're like, why? And they just, I don't know. And so it makes you go, girl, I put all this time and effort into following whatever you was putting out here, and you just doing it just to do it. And yeah, there are times when that's pretty cool, but then the other time was like, girl. So finding out the why and not letting people usurp your why, and having a reason behind your why, is why I do what I do. It's a lot of whys, but it's why I do what I do. And it's why I'm able to see and sit with you and be empathetic and understand the why and the fear behind the why, the vulnerability behind the why. And that's where your story comes from. So on my channel, I've repeatedly gotten into the stuck headspace of, what do I want to bring here? What is my story here? I am a filmmaker. I am a storyteller. And how I tell my stories most authentically to me is writing and filming. Yes, I do photography. Yes, I do marketing, branding, communications. Yes, I do all of those things. But for me, telling my own story most authentically is through writing and it's through filmmaking. And I love the process of script writing. I love the process of filming. Don't necessarily like the process of editing all too much, but it's a necessary thing you have to contend with when you do this type of work, when you do this type of creativity. So it's like, okay. But what I really am contending with is, how do I tell what matters to me and what shapes me in this world at large? Being a Black woman, being a Black mother, being a Black business owner, being a Black creative, being neurodivergent and Black, like having stems and tricks and all these things that help me navigate this world. Somebody who is a trauma survivor, somebody who has gone through the motions of absentee parenting and the death of parents, the death of your child's parent. Like, who am I and how am I telling these stories in a way that is cohesive and honoring of myself, while also aligning with how people view and listen to and engage with and digest stories now. So that's been where I've been stuck. So I do these big productions where it's multiple people behind the camera, or it's me with a multiple camera set and audio equipment and lighting and all these things. And that gets hard. I'm also learning how to do it in a way that is more streamlined for me, because I am a systems person. But then there are other times where it's like, I don't want to do all that, and I just want to cut my camera on and go. So my ancestors gave me the idea of Uncut Gems, Gems with a J, because my name is Joy. And that's what this is. Me primarily going somewhere. May not always be a shoot, may not always be something that I'm heading towards. It's like, oh, I had this great idea. And oftentimes it's just me coming on to go, girl. And so when it comes to the work that I do, being a Black woman, the state of this world, and how viscerally Black women were rejected in November, even though we are always approached to fix. How do we continue to fix ourselves? Yeah, a lot of us have clocked out. Girl, it's above us now. You figure it out. And we reserve that right, especially as we, in ways that we did not opt into, have been mothering this country. And we are now turning that energy inward. So now we're having these deeper conversations, or these conversations that just have never been had on almost a cellular level of, what is my story? What am I doing? How am I doing this? And it's almost taking the light off of other things and other people. I can't think about you right now. I have to think about me. Even as a business owner, I have to think about me. As a creative, I have to think about me. That does not mean that the table is full or the buckets are full, but I'm now way more attentive and cognizant of what I put in those buckets, how long they stay in those buckets, and who I give access to those buckets. So that's what I care about. I care about stories. I care about creating those stories. I care about the people that are behind and in front of those stories. And care so much about those people that are doing those things that look like me. That look like me. So, I'm excited for this new thing. Yeah, they're going to be the same outfit sometimes, because maybe I have multiple ideas that day. Sometimes there might be a little bit of a cut here and there, because I am, even though editing is annoying, I am an editor. So there might be a little cut to the gym, but it's not perfect. But it's still good. So I'm on my way to my shoot. I hope what I said makes sense. And got to the root of why I decided to set this camera up, set my phone up today. But it matters. It matters. And black women, black people, our stories matter. And how we tell our stories matter. Why we tell our stories matter. No one, the reason why it matters so much, if it didn't matter as much, there would not be so many people trying to stop it. There would not be so many people attempting to tell us that our stories are not that serious, that we are doing too much, or we're the perpetual victims, we're this, we're that. No. You've gone centuries stomping out stories that you don't understand. Therefore, it's evil. so that no one else has access to those stories, including us. And now that we have regained access, after having to fight and be unalived and be harmed in unimaginable ways, because we have a story, because we know the truth of why our stories are stifled and why people go out of their way to make sure that we are not heard. Now that we know, you can't shut us up. You cannot get us to stop talking. We don't care that you're annoyed. We don't care that you're, oh my God, we don't care. We do not care. And we had to sit and listen to you talk about freaking whoever the hell on TikTok, where one of these colored people that has gone through XYZ and got about 8 videos about it, and we'll never see this person ever again. If you want us to pay attention to that, you can pay attention to why discrimination matters and affects us so deeply. You can listen to us talk about why representation matters in every space that we go into. You can listen to us tell you that no, we don't want your sympathy. We don't want your, I'm one of the good ones. We don't want any of that. We want to be left alone. And we want to do and focus on what we need to focus on. Everything else is out the purview. And you got to be okay with that, because again, you want to sit here and listen to these cockababy schemes and ideas and stories that you come up with. But it's time for, when it's us being like, well, yeah, I also have this. Oh, no. Now we got to listen to the black person be upset. Oh, will the blacks ever get over it? No. No, we won't. Same way y'all never get over anything either. And everybody else is supposed to bend the knee for it. We ain't doing that no more. So, our stories matter. Storytellers like me in these spaces matter. I am not here by myself. I don't pretend to be somebody who knows everything, because I know I don't. I am a constant student. And I teach from what I learned, not just what I saw somebody else do over here. So I'm going to take it and do that thing over there. But I am also learning from example. So, girl, it's our stories now. It's our takes. It's ours. It's our time. And we will utilize that time how we see fit. And we don't care if you're mad. We ain't got time. We don't care. We got other things to do. And I hope we keep this momentum. Because again, it matters.